Welcome back, Mike McConville here, Stratford, Ontario, Canada for StringTechWorkstations. We've got a whack of stuff on the go this coming week. This is an old Espana guitar that the customer's dad bought it way back, and that needs a bunch of work. We're going to need to remove that bridge. We're going to fill that in and re-slot it and put a compensated saddle on it. We're going to be putting a compensated nut on this one as well. And of course, the Patreon subscribers will get a complete detailed play-by-play on it. Here is where we're going with this old Espana guitar. You can see that bridge is lifting. We're going to heat that up, slip it off, and then radius it, and thin out these wings. This is way too thick. We're going to fill this in with rosewood and basically convert it to a normal solid wood bridge without all this adjustable stuff. Well, these are the fasteners that were in that guitar. They're coming out. We're going to fill that in. We're going to get wood-to-wood contact. Bridge work under construction today. There's 3 different guitars I'm doing bridge work on. Now this Espana guitar, we've got that bridge resurfaced on the underside. It was warped, it was lifting, and that's set overnight, so we're ready to take the clamps off, and we'll bring you in for a close look at this one. I'm bringing you in nice and close on this one because I want to show you one of the wonders of hide glue. Hide glue does not stick to lacquer. See that? There isn't another glue out there where you get away with this. I've sharpened this tongue depressor because it's like a soft wooden knife. Now, because Aaron is actually going to be putting an acoustic electric system in this one, I'm filling it in with solid rosewood because we're going to need to rerouter it for that pickup system. Hot hide glue, rosewood insert. No clamping pressure needed here. That is a perfect press fit. Gotta love that hide glue. Just wipe it up with water. I'll let that set overnight and then we'll calculate the proper placement for the bridge slot and slot that out tomorrow. We have the bridge slotting jig set up to slot the bridge for this Espana guitar. So this is the XLT TechDeck that I'm using on this one. I'm going to bring you in for a closer look. We've established our footprint. Now we'll bring that slot to its final depth. That slot depth is going to give us a good solid purchase for that saddle. Look at how close the bridge pin hole is to that slot. And that's exactly where the saddle needs to be in order for this scale length with just regular light strings to be in tune. You can see the outline of the rosewood insert I put in there. So it's obvious that this guitar has never been in tune since the day it was made. Wait till you hear it now. When these threaded couplings are just finger tightened, they give you just enough strength to stop the jig from slipping and yet not too much tension to crack the top or the back. Now we just slide these back, slide those out, slide these ones out, and that's the baby. Well, I never thought I'd be able to drive frets in with this unit, but look at this. So you can use this XLT for the partial refrets. I stand corrected. Delighted. So the primary difference between the XLT unit and the GPS unit is the XLT unit just has the single pivoting block, but it's still extremely versatile, and I'm using it a solid 50% of the time in my shop. For leveling the full length of a fingerboard, I prefer to use the GPS unit for that, and of course the GPS unit is engineered to receive the neck surgery jig. Doing a full fret job, I still prefer to have that extra neck support. So this is a bit of a discovery for me today. I didn't really kind of envision doing a lot of fret installation on the XLT, but as it turns out, it works great. So to center that block, just slip it up like so and cinch it down. So now I'm ready to drive this fret in. Check this out. So of course those frets are squared right off now, the first, those new 7 frets. And we're just going to take those sharp edges off and chase these back to center. I always make sure I'm doing kind of one stroke per side, so I'm just taking out that real sharp square edge. So here's what we sort of ended up with. We'll chase those crowns the rest of the way with these successively lighter gauges of sanding paper. Well, the nice thing about doing a partial refret, those first 5 to 7 frets, is I don't have to go masking off the body. So I start with this 400 grit. Now this is a tough sort of cloth back sandpaper. And you need that because the regular sandpaper will just get shredded by the sharp ends of the frets. So this is basically taking that sharp edge off all the way along, and we'll pad some French polish on there when we're done. So I get those edges first, and then we'll chase those crowns back to center. I'll bring you in for a look in a second. I'm going past the 7th fret onto the 8th, 9th, and 10th, just to blend the new frets in with the original frets. Okay, so you still end up with a little bit of a sharp edge on either side of the fret. Now, so to get rid of these sharp edges, I use a auger file. Now this is a file that's designed for sharpening auger bits. I've never sharpened an auger bit in my life, but I use it for frets, and it works great because there's no teeth on that face, just teeth on the edge. So I just kind of hit those sharp tips. A couple of quick passes on those, get rid of all that sharpness along the edge. Just a couple of light passes. We still got to go through our 600 grit and buff. Now that's made a huge difference. And what I'll do at this point is I'll make kind of a circular motion and then go counterclockwise in a circular motion. So I'm kind of getting this side of the fret when I move in this direction, and then this side of the fret when I move in that direction. I'll make that quick pass a couple of times. So counterclockwise, like so, and then clockwise. This is from my view, of course. And then I'll go along the edges and check that again. Much better. Come around this side, same thing. Counterclockwise and clockwise. Do that again. Counterclockwise and clockwise. And then just straight along. Much better. Now we'll switch over to 600. Now that we've softened that, we can use the paperback 600, and that will get these frets ready for the buffer. The paperback sandpaper is much more fragile than that cloth back, so I'm just going to go with that circular motion again. Oh, you can hear it grabbing there in a couple of spots. The buffer will actually get the last of those little barbs along the edge. But I'll still use the 600 grit and then counterclockwise. So as we bump over those crowns, we're basically scrubbing them back to center. Now we're ready to switch over to the buffer. Perfect. And that is dead level with the original frets. I'm not exaggerating when I said earlier in the video that this guitar has never been in tune since the day it was made. You can see the original footprint of the rosewood insert. This is where the focal point was before. So we're talking a distance of like 1/4 of an inch. If you're out 12 thou one way or the other, a violinist will hear it and roll his eyes. You're out of tune, sharp or flat. We're talking 1/4 of an inch here. We're talking like 250 thou. So it would have been virtually impossible to play this guitar in tune. And here's the treble side. Well, it didn't fare much better there either. There wasn't one string, one note, one fret on this guitar that was in tune from the day it was made. I wanted to show you that before I actually play a little bit and let you hear it. It's interesting that the scale length on this one is 24 and 13/16, the exact same scale length as that 1949 J45 was, and the 1946 J45. So it's interesting that it would be exactly the same as that Gibson scale. Now what I do is I convert to metric. So half that scale is 31.5, like from the nut to the middle of the 12th fret. You multiply it by 2 and the theoretical distance was 63 centimeters. Let's have a listen. So this is the compensated nut for this guitar. Let me play a couple of chords. You got to hear this thing. So I'll play a few chords. A, here's some garden variety first position chords. The D that's always out of tune. E major. It does have a beautiful voice, it's just not a big sound. I mean, certainly not after hearing that 1946 or the 49 Gibson J45. But the point is, silky smooth to play and perfectly in tune. The last thing I wanted to point out was I did put side position markers on this. I'm sure that Aaron will appreciate that. And there we go. There's our Espana guitar. Cheers.